Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 3 of On the Green with Coach Lee. That's yours truly, and of course, Coach Mike Ke.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so another week, another really interesting topic that we are going to discuss, and I'll let you, Coach Mike, open this episode with a question, a usual question that you get asked by your students.
Yes, it's by far the most common question. How do I get more consistency, or how do I become more consistent? Kaya na-decide ko na pag-usapan namin ni Coach Lee through this show. No?
Yep. When your students or some players ask you, Coach, how do I become more consistent on the golf course? Ano yung context when they ask it ba? Are these golfers like good golfers most of the time? Well, you handle a lot of mga elite level golfers, but ano yung context normally when that question is asked?
Across the board, they're looking for shots that go a certain way all the time. Okay, that's one. Second is the scoring. So there's the mechanical aspect, and then the scoring aspect. So mechanical aspect, less so with the better players, because the better players, they understand that okay, you hit, let's say, 70% of greens, 80% of greens, and you miss a few. That's part of the game, and that's on a good day. So on a bad day, let's say you might get 60% of the greens, hit 50% of the fairways, and a good day you might hit 80%, 90%. So the better player kind of understands that may ganun talaga, may ups and downs. But I would say the more novice the player, the more he doesn't understand what he's looking for, like hitting straighter. It's not really mathematically possible, right? But I always say that the technique, when a player comes to me, when a student comes to me and wants to learn better technique, I always say that the goal of technique is just to minimize the variance. Kumbaga sa basketball, if you're shooting, that ring is 18 inches wide and the ball is kind of half of that. So we want to improve the technique enough so that the ball can at least go inside that 18 inch, or at least hit the rim, right? At least hit the rim. Pero for us to say that it's going to go in ringless, not touching the ring, and just all net all the time, it's just mathematically impossible, right? So yun, that's one part. The other part is the scoring. And I often bring out lagi akong handa, meron ako pinapakita ng chart. And I've done this several times na on the PGA Tour. Back when DJ was number one, I
couple of years ago, no?
Yeah, I put their scores on Excel file, ang haba, all their scores throughout the year. And it's surprising, from the best player down to the top 100 player. Yung best game nila, I should say, the lowest score and their worst score, it's at least, for the better players, it's like around 11 strokes, the difference. So let's say,
Union spread.
Spread
across 11 points,
ang best score niya, let's say 62, right? And then his worst score will be around 74. Okay, 75, yeah. And then you go to the middle of the pack touring professional and you look at their score. Okay, their scoring average naturally is going to be higher, but then the spread is kind of the same, 12, 13 strokes. Okay, so when I tell a player, okay, when you want to score consistently, kasi ang reklamo niya is, sometimes kasi I shoot 80 and then I shoot 90 and I go, that's normal. Even professionals have that 10-stroke spread. But doon na papasok yung nuance, yung experience na, okay, let's say your best score is 75 and then your worst score is 95. Obviously, there's something wrong there. Right? So, parang ganon. So, I always tell my players or students na we can hope to bring down the average. But controlling the spread, there's so many factors involved. You play different courses. Even if you play the same course every day for one whole year, the pin location is always different. The grass can be, thick, short, wet, dry. Unlimited, infinite possibilities. So that's where I'm coming from when I say, basically, you're striving for consistency. It's impossible in one sense, but in another sense, the reason why we're learning better technique is to keep trying to limit the variability.
Yeah.
Right, to a certain degree. But to say that if you learn correct technique, practice, you will never make a mistake anymore. That's just not possible.
Well, that's actually a recipe for disaster, and that would be a mental health issue already in the long run. No, I think the thing about consistency is the focus of the consistency. I think that's the big key there.
Yeah, I want to hear your side on this.
Yeah, kasi as much as most, maybe 98% of competitive golfers locally, I mean, I'm just throwing this number around as an exaggeration, but none of these players actually started working on their mental game when they began golfing, even as junior golfers. And when I say that they didn't begin working on their mental game, I mean it na consciously, in the same way that you would go to the range, hit 3 buckets, kung ano man, di ba? Whatever the routine is, no? No one has actually done that, no? It's a local tour. So maybe I may be wrong, no? Baka naman meron, hindi ko lang alam. But I would, at least those that I've worked with or got to know, mga golfers na gano'n, ngayon lang nag-start yung mental side, no? And I think before we went live, we went on air nga, di ba, you were saying, a lot of the golfers who have improved and then nag-plateau na yung scores and then started to drop off sometimes.
Yeah.
That's when they start asking, how do I become more consistent? Yung ganon. And I think that the answer to that is, where do you point your, where do you point consistency? So the big mistake there, and the big mistake that leads to that snowballing effect, no, that will, unravel and then eventually
that vicious cycle.
Oh, that vicious cycle is if you focus that consistency on your scores, on results. No, one is scores. Like nilaro ko tong course na to nag 2 over ako dito before Bakit ngayon 86 ang score ko, 'di ba? So one mistake is looking at the scores, and the other is, well, not the scores, but where the ball actually lands. Diba? Na parang, gitna ako palagi dito Itong dog left na to, nalalagay ko siya talaga dun sa proper place. No? So, similar yon, but the common denominator there is, yes, they want to be consistent, but they want to be consistent at something that is beyond their control. Meaning, the result, where the ball lands, 'di ba? So babalik na naman ako dun sa from episode 1 yata natin 'yon, but process against results yan It's an issue of that again. If a golfer becomes better and better over time, what he or she doesn't realize is nagkakaroon na siya ng expectation I mean, 'di ba? If you play a couple of good rounds, the next round that you play, without you being conscious about it, ina-expect mo na around that score ka ulit. There's that expectation. And then you get bewildered pagka sumabog yung laro mo, di ba? And because on a mindset na usapan, dun ka nakatingin, no? And you try to be consistent at that score. But what you're not doing is being consistent with a technique that will get you to that score or increase the chances of you being close to that score. So yun yung folly doon, no? That's the big ano doon. And the problem there is it's not easily identified simply because it's not been something that has been wired into their approach to the game, no? What has been wired na hindi pa rin perfect is the technique. Because, di ba, when they seek out a golf coach or, it will always be about how you swing the club, di ba, your movement, etc. I don't know if cultural is the proper term, no? Pero the simple fact that the awareness in sports in general here in the Philippines, ngayon lang nakikita yung science behind the mental side. It used to be just lip service lang yan Diba? Palaging ano lang yan focus, effort, gano'n But no one is telling them how or why or to make it understand na gano'n. Relax. Pero you don't relax just by having someone shout at you, relax.
Or may magsasabi sa'yo na, ganda naman palo mo, utak mo lang yung problema But then, you don't know, wala kang practical, methodology para to.
Diba, parang gano'n yun And then, sige, di utak ko nga. There's something wrong. But doon na lang naiiwan diba?
Yeah.
So, yun yung nagiging problema doon. And that's where the frustration starts. The golfer who has a really good swing, good technique, but yun nga, hits a block. Kasi, like you say, it's law of averages pa rin yan diba? And even if you try to control the spread, the margin of error, there will be days talaga na diba? It will go beyond it, no? Kasi mababalance naman yun na bilang 3 good rounds diba? And normally, nangyayari, maybe because of the stakes that are there, let's say this golfer is already on the cusp of being a regular top 30. And then the stakes are getting higher and then tinamaan siya ng ganon. Instead of maybe people panic, if not the golfer panics, maybe the handlers panic, maybe the parents panic, the coach panics, and says, halika, ayusin natin yung swing mo. And then ayan na, the range, a week before the tournament, it tweak. Now, again, the tweaking is another separate issue. It's another story altogether. Maaring tama yung tweak, maaring hindi. Pero that's an added mental burden going into a tournament, diba? Yeah, there's no confidence pa in that new movement.
And it happens a lot. Yung people, a player is like 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, a month before, hitting well, swinging well. 1 week before the tournament, a few days before the tournament, something always, goes wrong. Parang he's starting to hit this shot, starting to hit that shot.
Yeah. And the bottom line of all that kasi is nagiging external yung focus ng tao. And that's the problem, really. In a way, it's actually, without the person knowing it, he or she is actually releasing himself of accountability.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good.
Kasi diba, it's always something else.
Yes.
But it wasn't, if you think about it, kasi minsan, diba, lalo na if this player has always experienced success on a regular basis, syempre, ang iisipin niyan, it can't be me. Maybe I have 1 or 2 bad shots, but in general, that's yung other 12 strokes na mali, hindi na ako yun. Diba? Kasalanan niya ng course, kasalanan niya ng kung ano man. And then it snowballs until, at the end of maybe a year, the golfer already doesn't know what's wrong. Diba? Yeah. Pero doon lang talaga nagsisimula yun na
and you said,
kailangan may score Yeah.
You said something really, really important there. And I mentioned earlier yung spread, di ba? Usually sabihin na natin 10 to 12 strokes is not bad. But what if, let's say, the spread is much bigger than that, right?
Mm.
And then, sabi nga, hindi naman yan lahat swing. Imposible yung lahat swing yan.
Yeah.
Okay, I was listening to Chris Como the other day, and he was talking to another coach. No? We were talking about this concept called the 3D flat spot in the swing. And then he was wise enough to say that that's a small portion, a small component of a very small component, which is the swing. Kasi the golf is much more than just swinging a golf club, right? So that's where I think adaptability comes in. So I always tell people, okay, yeah, you will have that one game that everything goes well. But you should be ready when nothing goes your way. Marunong kang dumiskarte, marunong kang kunyari, kumakanan na yung tira mo. Okay, isipin mo ba yung swing o laruin mo yung kanan na yun? Well, something like that. Or let's say that day, puro short ng tira, mahina yung palo mo for some reason. Eh di diskartehan mo, habaan mo yung club, dagdag ka ng club. Ibahin mo yung strategy. I think that's why Tiger is I think he's always up there pagdating sa majors because he's not always hitting well but he finds
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, totoo yun. And that happens on both sides, meaning on the technique side, on the mental side. I guess what yung sinasabi mo kanina na hindi gumagana yung drive mo, di ba? So you scramble and then you learn all these other shots, di ba?
And you shouldn't think that that's wrong. You shouldn't think that there's a problem. Right? That's part of it. That's part of the game.
And yun nga, di ba? And then, ang focus dapat doon, if the golfer wants to be more consistent, he encounters those days, yung consistency niya to scramble, di ba? To recognize that this is the situation. This requires a lot of stingers and punch outs, no? And I'm still in play, di ba? You get it. On the mental side, ganun din. You have handles that you can grab onto pagka. That's what I always tell the athletes that I work with, no? Ganun din, like you're saying, no? As much as possible, we're not gonna perfect that, no? There will always be that thought that will make you distract you or make you lose focus. Marami yan, or biglang kumidlap, umulan, di ba? You were already, as they say, in the zone. Biglang it will always happen. But now, sabi ko, because we worked on a couple of may mga baon ka na, no? There are handles that marami kang hugutin na kunwari, you hit it, no? Pero talagang for some reason nag-fade, nag-slice, di ba? And then before you even start feeling bad and beating yourself and wala na, talo na, like our handles would be, okay, take a step back, or as you go to your ball, don't think of anything else except your breathing lang. You're walking to the ball. Wala lang. You just count how many inhales and exhales. And syempre, that's what I will teach na lang. No? Not just breathing per se, but a deeper kind.
Hindi yung basta, relax ka lang or relax pero...
hindi gano'n. So, yung...
relax na tense.
Ang kailangan kasi ng player at that time is give me something concrete that I can do para dito ako magpo-focus.
Yes.
Diba? And not on some other thing na in the first place, you never had control over. So, the mental side, gano'n eh. So, sumabog yung tira mo, may gagawin tayo in between. So, diba? Habang naglalakad tayo, breathe ka. Pagdating mo doon, ano yung routine mo? Let's go back to your routine. Yun lang tingnan mo. Diba? Wala na iba. Huwag na yung dito papalusutin ko dito sa ganitong branch kasi para hindi na ako mag-lay up or something like that. Wag na yung gano'n, di ba? Balik ka. Ano yung mga checkpoints sa swing mo or sa movement mo na pag ginawa mo lahat yon, more often than not, you're hitting a solid shot or a good shot. So,
and that's good what you're saying. No? Even ako naman, even if you from I guess from medyo mas old school ako. Even if you do the right thing, you think you're doing the right things, no? And if you don't get the result, then it's not for you. You know, maybe it's not your
Mm.
day. Just move on,
Yes.
learn from it. The worst thing that can happen is you dwell on that one
Yes.
hole or one round, and then it ruins your whole week. It determines how you're going to approach the next week. Nagbago
Yeah.
bigla yung
Mm.
yung strategy mo.
No, the mental side really plays a big part in that. I wouldn't say it's the most important. Ako lang kasi, I even if, let's say, I do sports psychology, I don't want to go out and say that this is the most important part. No. I just think that it was never really taught when it should have been taught, which was early on when the person started playing. So it's catch up nangyayari. Now, it's the only time that you're learning all the techniques. Kaya, ang hirap din to sustain it over, let's say, a golfing season or even in a tournament. Kasi, hindi pa ganun ka-ingrained Let's say, I've been just, we've been working together lang siguro for 5 months. Yun ang swing or yung movement or yung technique since 7 years old ginagawa. Nagkakalimutan pa Di ba? May lapses pa. Paano yung 4 months pa lang tayo nag-work on techniques and your mental routines? So it's easier to let go of it and then go back lalo na you're in the middle of the round, naghahabol ka. Lalo na kung match play. Medyo na dali ka na ng 2 holes and ditch the routine. Yung breathing, hindi na.
Parang diet yan di ba? You're following a diet tapos one day you're bumigay ka and then day na tong diet na I'll binge.
Ganun nangyayari. And then before yun, wala na. Ayan na, the sugar starts coming back in and all these things happen. Yung calories mo. I think yun yung I think the common mistake would be ganun. When they ask you for help or ask me for help on consistency, pag-agree muna tayo. Let's be on the same page. Consistency saan?
Yes.
Kung sa scores, problema yan. Yun ang titingnan lang natin, consistency sa scores. Mahirap yan kasi hindi mo masasabi yan di ba? Pero kung ang pag-uusapan natin, consistency ng mga techniques, di ba? Kasi ako, I take my cue from the technique that's already there. Kasi I've never naman worked with an athlete who was just starting the sport. So, palagi nang meron nandun na. So, I will work with what's there. No? And then, I will now make a mental counterpart to that. So, parang, ang idadagdag ko na lang is the mental component. And hopefully, it's not because you want to put the mental component in just to get over the hump. No, I mean, because the right thing to do really is, it should have been there naman from the start. Diba? To make it, and that's how you ensure the consistency. I mean, not the consistency of the actual score, but the consistency of the spread.
Yes.
That at the very least, it doesn't widen anymore. But at least try and, as much as possible to narrow. Because at some point, you just let the golf gods do the thing diba?
Yeah. So, ganun yan
Yeah.
As much as we don't want to admit it, yung weather na sinasabi natin, it's part and parcel of the game. So sometimes yung the way you dolphin up and down, minsan eksakto lahat. When you're going up, sakto natapat sa golf course na gusto mo, natapat sa weather na gusto mo, and everything goes your way. And then sakto naman na natapat dun sa down mo, natapat sa golf course na hindi mo gusto, conditions na hindi mo gusto,
tapos yung pa yung malaking
flight na hindi mo gusto.
Tapos yung pa yung malaking tournament. Alam mo yan, minsan bigyan.
So, yun So, we have to accept that that's part of reality. We can't control when we're going to score well, when we're going to hit perfect shots. Sabi nga ni Ben Hogan, kung maka isa, dalawa siya sa isang round, that's already okay na yun. Diba?
Kaya parang, I think what the athlete or the golfer should be doing is, I think yung importante, which I try to remind golfers, is you have to recognize when it happens, no? Normally naman ma-recognize mo eh, but you disregard it and you let the emotion take over, di ba? But I mean, yun ang key eh, that even if you don't do anything about it muna, one round lang, basta as long as you remember. I mean, nabibilib nga ako, how come people who play golf can remember shots and the hole.
Yeah.
Ako hanggang ngayon, hirap na hirap ako ma-memorize yan kung anong hole, ganyan. I need to see it again. But if they can identify that, then they can identify those moments, di ba? And which hole. And maski yun lang
objectively, no?
Oo, parang sa akin, baka nga yun lang muna yung first step eh. You play around and then you identify, then there's that awareness na. And then, the next na would be, mag-develop na tayo ng baon mo. Diba? Na pagka ganito yung situation, on a technique side, what should you do? This is at your disposal. Diba? Okay, club selection, shot selection, diba? Gamble, play safe. Madami ng play. On the mental side, gap, ano yung baon mo? Diba? Whether you need relaxation ba right now, or do you want, whether it's imagery that you need, yun ang iwa-work out namin on that side, no? Na para practicein mo to. Kailangan mo siyang gawin. And I guess what we would caution people out there watching, no, is to avoid to say na I suck at golf because I'm not hitting the perfect shot, no? Batok-tok lang palagi or whatever. Di ba? Believe me, I mean, it feels so good to hear that. Like yung sinasabi ni Coach Mike na Ben Hogan na mismo nagsabi. One of the guys with like the most with the purest swings ever, di ba, is saying that he can only hit the perfect shot maybe 2 or 3 times in a round. It's not, you're not after the perfect shot because.
So if you think about it, what is the perfect shot? I've hit 3 hole-in-ones in my life, and none of them were happened when I was aiming at the hole. I wasn't aiming at the hole when those hole. So those were in the context of score, perfect yun kasi 1 lang eh. But I wasn't.
But in the context of where you were targeting or whatever,
diba? So,
hindi perfect yun. Yeah, and I think it's hard lang to siguro more of parting thoughts na, no, on this one, just to wrap it up. I would say lang, it's difficult, no? It's difficult to rewire and not to think about scores because you're playing a sport after all. That every hole you're being scored, diba? So that talaga, it's natural for you to score, habulin mo yan. But yun eh. You can't go against the laws eh. I mean the law of things that are not within your control. You can't beat that. You can't go against the law of nature.
I agree.
You can't go. Talo ka dyan. That will be a losing war from hole number 1 if that's how you're gonna think. So it's about going, at least on the mental side, internal focus. Ano na ulit yung cues ko. And this is connected to the physical. This is connected now. Ano yung physical na winire sa akin, sa muscle, sa movement, balik ako doon, and then, ang importante naman kasi is, nakasuporta si mind doon.
Yes.
Na in unison sila. Hindi yung ito lang, tapos ito, iba yung, di ba? Iba yung focus niya. How about you, Coach Mike?
Yeah, ako naman, parting shot ko dyan would be, huwag natin lagay sa pedestal yung swing. It's part of it. But it's not as big as we think. There's so many aspects to the game. In terms of skill development, sometimes parents will ask me, bakit mo pinapapalo yan na feet together, left foot only, hitting a driver 50%, hitting it off your knees, and when I'm doing a playing lesson, kunyari, fairway lagi yung bata, sinisipa ko yung bola sa bunker, sinisipa ko sa rock. Because that's part of the game. So we prepare for the worst, we hope for the best. I think exactly. that's my
yeah. No, that's really crucial. And actually, if you're watching right now, if you have more questions on this, because this is something that we can actually go deeper into mechanical side pa lang, di ba, Coach Mike? There are things that you can like deep dive pa.
Oh, yeah.
Things
There's so many
twice.
things.
Yeah, and then like mental side, I mean, if you guys want us to continue discussing this topic, we can do another episode on that, and we can deep dive further. Yeah, I can give actual examples, no, of what techniques that the golfers can do, and I'm not just referring to mga pro golfers, golfers. If you're like me, I really just want to get to that point that I'm just really enjoying myself, no? And out there on the fairway. So, maski ganun lang ang goal ninyo, no? It's the same, no? Napo-frustrate ka kasi bakit yung hindi ko mababa yung handicap ko from 25 to 20? Diba? It's the same, eh, 'di ba? Yung consistency na naman of what? 'Di ba?
Yes.
Let's not sweat the result part. Although that's the basis of many things,
Yes.
but that's not how you get those results that you want.
Mismo. Yeah.
That was a lot of stuff. We'd love to discuss that more, but we want to run a tighter ship, no? So that people can really savor the topics more. So send us your questions or comments, whatever feedback, more questions on the topic or suggestions on other topics so that we can tackle them next week. So with that, this is Coach Lee signing off, and of course,
Coach Mike.
and thank you again for watching On the Green. We'll see you next week.